Hi, I'm Catherine, and welcome to the Going Home Debrief. I'm going to go through information that is going to help you get settled in with your new puppy at home. So let me get started with the puppy kit itself. This is the Going Home kit that accompanies every puppy. In the kit, we have a piece of blanket that is a blanket that smells like Mum and Litter Mates. It's been in with the puppies. Mum has slept on it. We have touched it, handled it, so it's their comfort item. There is also some sort of toy. It's usually one of the ones that our puppies enjoy playing with. Squeaky, crinkly, soft, cuddly. Then there is also food, and we're going to get more into the food in a little bit. There's also a roll of doggy bags. And then there's also a folder, and the folder contains more information on puppy, coupons, your health booklet, information on Microchip, your invoice, and a business card. So let me go through the food first. This is the food bag you're going to start with first. It is your transition bag of food. There are two different kinds of kibble in it. The little kibble that puppies are eating now, and the bigger kibble that is in the other bag of food that we recommend you feed your puppies, the Royal Canin small puppy food. So with this bag, you're going to mix it up really well, and then when you get home, you're going to put food in your puppy's dish. You are not going to measure. Don't worry about measuring or dividing a total day's quantity into thirds for each of your puppy's meals. You're just going to fill the dish. You're going to give it to your puppy to eat. Let him or her eat as much as they want within 15 to 20 minutes. And then you're going to take the dish away. And at the next meal, you're going to let them eat whatever is left in the dish. If it's getting low, you're going to top it up and add more. And then after 15-20 minutes, you're going to take it away. And then for the third meal of the day, you're going to do the same thing. You'll just give them back the dish, let them eat as much as they want in 15 to 20 minutes, and then take it away. And if it looks like it's running low, you're just going to add more food. Now, a couple other things that you're going to do with food. Stressed puppies don't have big appetites. And that's one of the reasons why we don't want you to worry about measuring food, because in the first couple of days while puppies are getting their bearings in their new environment, they just might not eat a lot. And I find if I give owners a number, then they focus on the number and they get worried when the puppy isn't eating very much. But not eating much in the first 2-3 days at home is totally normal. So one of the things you're going to do to help puppy in those first couple days is at the beginning of each meal, you are going to take a little pinch of food and you're going to hand feed your puppy. Each person in the household, including kids, if they're old enough to do this themselves, should take turns feeding the puppy. Not necessarily at every meal, but at each of the 3 meals, somebody should be feeding the puppy a little bit of food at the beginning of each meal. So 2 to 3 handfuls at the beginning of each meal, and everybody has a turn over the course of the day. What that does is, in a pack, the alpha of the pack controls food. So the leader of the pack controls food. So by getting your dog's food dish, putting food in it, shaking it, getting his or her attention, and then taking a handful out and feeding it to him, you are controlling the food. So in that little puppy brain, you are already programming your puppy to recognize you as the pack leader, just by giving a couple of handfuls of food at the beginning of each meal. Once you've given those couple of handfuls, you can put the dish down, let the puppy eat out of the dish. When it's eating, you're going to keep it company. You're not going to put the food dish down and walk away. Because if you walk away, a lot of our puppies are social eaters. So if you put food down, they'll get all excited, yay, food, we're going to have breakfast or whatever. But then you walk away, they're going to go, wait, what, we're not eating? What are we doing? And they're going to follow you. And that is one way that puppies don't eat a lot in those first few days, is because if you don't keep them company, they may just be too excited about what's going on and what you're doing to actually eat the food. So you are going to keep your puppy food dish full. You're going to feed a couple of handfuls at the beginning of each meal. You're going to keep your puppy company while it eats. And you are not going to measure. You're just going to keep topping up the dish until your puppy reaches the end of the day. And then the next day, just top up the dish and start all over again. We don't worry about quantities or measuring food for our puppies until they hit about 6 months old. Because puppies are stressed at the beginning, that's one reason we don't measure. But the other reason is puppies go through growth spurts. And if they go through a growth spurt and you're only measuring a certain amount of food, they may not be getting enough to grow properly. So by just keeping the food dish topped up, then the puppies will get as much as they need to grow properly, and you don't ever have to worry about them not having enough or eating too much. When puppies are 6 months old though, that's when it's time to do a body assessment. Have your puppy stand in front of you and look at you. And if you look down their body and their body looks like a little sausage and there's no waist indent, then they probably have a little bit of baby fat, and that's okay. But at that point, I would say it's time to start measuring the food that they should be eating each day. And you'll do that by looking at the back of your dog food bag. The back of the bag has your puppy's month in age across the top and the approximate adult weight down the side. So if your puppy is now 6 months old, you will find the 6 month range, approximately whatever he weighs at 6 months, add a couple pounds, and that would be your target weight for him or her as an adult. So that would tell you your quantity that he should be eating in a given day, and that's what you're going to give your puppy, and that's all. So if your puppy still has a waist at 6 months, then you don't need to worry about measuring. You can just go ahead and keep his or her food dish full and continue to feed the puppy that way. You will also find when puppies go home, we recommend feeding 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the approximate times are on the puppy schedule that you will have received by email. Sometimes, somewhere around the third, when they're about 4 months old, between 3 and 4 months old, they are going to lose interest in lunch. And that's perfectly normal. You will probably notice that you put lunch down, they may only grab a mouthful or two and then they'll walk away, but they really aren't that interested. So at that point, you can start feeding your puppy only twice a day, usually breakfast and supper, and forget about lunch. It'll be kind of like kids losing one nap during the day. They might get a little crabby in between because they're getting hungry, but stick to your schedule, feed once in the morning, once in the evening. Eventually, when your puppy hits almost adulthood, he or she may only need to eat once a day. There's not a right and a wrong for feeding. You can feed twice a day, you can feed once a day. It's more about what works best for you and your puppy. Your puppy should stay on puppy food until it hits about 9 months old. Somewhere between 9 and 10 months, you are going to buy a bag of adult food, whatever adult food you choose to feed your puppy, and you're going to mix it half and half with the puppy food and gradually add more of the new food, less of the puppy food, until you have completely switched your puppy to the adult food over the space of about a week. So make sure you plan for that and don't let yourself run completely out of puppy food and then switch to the adult food cold turkey. If you do that, you are probably going to have a dog that has a little bit of tummy upset, maybe some vomiting, maybe some diarrhea, because it's too much of a switch for your puppy. Now, when your puppy first comes home, if you find that it really doesn't seem to have much interest in food, there are 2 other things that you can do to help stimulate appetite. One is you can take a small amount of food, add hot tap water to it, let it sit until the food absorbs some of the water, and then give it to your puppy when it's still a little bit warm. The softer, warmer food can sometimes be more appealing than the dry food, although our puppies, when they go home, they will have been eating the straight dry food for at least 2 weeks. So this is not something we recommend doing unless you're really concerned that the puppy isn't eating well. The second thing you can do to encourage your puppy to eat is to warm up the dry food in your microwave. Depending on your microwave, you might only need about 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, and make sure whatever food you're putting in is in a microwave safe dish. But put it in the microwave, heat it up just a little bit, stir it. I usually stir it with my finger to make sure that there's no hot spots. And then while it's still warm, give it back to your puppy. The heat activates the oils in the food, gives it a nice aroma, and makes it more tantalizing for puppies. But most of the time, you should be able to feed your puppy straight dry food without needing to do anything else to it. So when it comes to treats, you are probably wondering what kinds of things you can feed your new puppy. We actually recommend for training that you use the food out of the puppy's dish for as long as you can as incentives for training. As soon as you start adding new things, some of the puppies get wise and they decide that, oh, I got this really delicious treat yesterday when I was learning how to sit. I like that treat better than my food, so I'm not going to eat my food and I'm going to wait for the opportunity to get more treats. But if you give them the food out of their dish, they will happily work for that food, and you won't be upsetting their tummy or digestive system by adding something new. And they will work for that quite happily because they don't know that anything else better exists. There are a couple of things that we do introduce your puppies to when they are with us, but they are under certain circumstances and in moderation. So in your puppy kit, your going home kit, you're going to find a bag of active trainers. This is a brand of training treat by Eukanuba. It's a low protein, low fat treat. They're very small pieces. They're a softer treat, so it's very easy to give only 1 or 2 tiny pieces to your puppy as a reward for things like when it goes outside and goes to the bathroom. You can praise it verbally and give it a little bit of a treat as a good job, well done. You've done what we asked you to. When you put your puppy in the crate for a nap or for night, you can put a tiny little piece of this kibble in with it as incentive to go in the crate and reward for going in and being happy. You don't, just because they're small, don't feel like you need to give them 4 or 5 or 6 of them at a time. Just give 1. 1 is enough for the puppy to get the idea that he or she has done something really well, and all of our puppies so far have really enjoyed those treats. The other treat that your puppy will have here from time to time is a sweet potato chew. We use the brand from Caledon Farms. It's a Canadian company. It is literally pieces of sweet potato cut thin and then dehydrated. And sweet potato is the only ingredient. Our puppies love these as a chew. We almost start World War III when we put them into a pen. If there's 5 puppies and we give them 2 or 3 pieces, the fight is on to try to get that piece of chew and have it to themselves. So we usually try to make sure that we have enough pieces of sweet potato for each puppy. But this is something that's really good to give to your puppy. It will occupy them for 10 or 15 minutes, sometimes longer. So if you need a few minutes to yourself, you can put puppy in the crate with a sweet potato chew, put him in the pen with a sweet potato chew, and it will engage your puppy for a few minutes while you're doing something else. And it's a nice healthy treat. Sweet potato has a lot of health benefits for your puppy, so it's a really good treat to give to your puppy. The other things that are good treats and that you probably have in your home already that you don't need to buy are things like raw apples, carrots, a lot of the berries, the blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. Our dogs also pick salmon berries when we go for walks, blackberries when we go for walks when they're in season. They get a raw cucumber, they get sweet peppers, they'll eat broccoli, cauliflower, sometimes lettuce, sometimes not. Some puppies are going to like certain treats better than others, and sometimes they won't like things as a puppy, but they will like them as an adult. Sometimes they like things a certain way. Just like people, dogs have preferences. So once you introduce something, introduce just 1 treat at a time. So for example, if you want to expose your puppy to blueberries, then only give them a blueberry for a treat today. Don't give them a blueberry and a piece of apple and a piece of cauliflower, because you may not, if the treat affects them negatively, you're not necessarily going to know which treat it was. So give them only 1 new treat to try, in a day, and then let them experiment with it and figure out if they like it or don't like it. Blueberries are a popular one around here. Blueberries are really high in antioxidants, have lots of nutritional value for people and puppies. But some of our puppies will not eat fresh blueberries. They only want frozen blueberries. So we actually keep frozen blueberries on hand for our puppies for a snack and for some of our adults. We want you to focus on giving fresh fruit and vegetables as treats for your puppies, and to stay away from things like dehydrated chicken, dehydrated beef, liver treats, salmon treats. All of those things, if you read the back of the label, your treat label on the package, meat treats are very high in protein. And schnauzers don't process high protein or high fat foods very well. If you give them a high protein, high fat treat on a regular basis, you are more likely to have problems with kidney and bladder stones and pancreatitis. High fat foods on a regular basis, whether it's food or treats, can contribute to pancreatitis. High protein foods can contribute to kidney and bladder stones. So fresh fruits and vegetables are low in both. You can find things like dehydrated apple treats, dehydrated banana treats. Sometimes you'll find peanut butter and cheese treats or apple and peanut butter treats in the stores, but the best treats are probably found on your kitchen counter and in your fridge. And those are the ones we encourage you to give your puppies rather than the meat-based treats. On the inside of your health booklet, you are going to see the puppy's date of their first vaccination. They've been vaccinated for distemper, adenovirus, parvovirus, and parainfluenza, otherwise called DAP or DAP. There's also the date for this puppy's second set of shots in your booklet. So that date is when the puppy, you should book those second shots with your veterinarian. Beside the leptospirosis vaccination, you're going to see a little N, the letter N, which is it's our recommendation that you don't vaccinate your puppy for leptospirosis. Leptospirosis is a bacteria. It is most commonly found in water, contaminated water. So for example, you put an ice cream pail outside, it fills up with rain, and then there's the potential for animals, mice, rats, squirrels, birds, raccoons to drink out of it, pee in it, poop in it. It sits, and while it sits with being contaminated with urine or feces, the leptospirosis bacteria is going to grow in that water. And then if your dog or puppy goes outside and drinks out of that contaminated water, now your puppy can get sick with leptospirosis. So most responsible dog owners are careful about the sources of water their dogs are drinking from. And now that you're aware that water that's accumulating in buckets and pails and dishes outside need to be cleaned on a regular basis, the likelihood of your puppy picking up leptospirosis is very, very small. And the thing with lepto is that because it is not common, it's one of the reasons we recommend not getting your puppy vaccinated for it. And we have had a number of our puppies have very experienced side effects from that vaccine. Fortunately, none of our puppies have experienced severe side effects resulting in death, but we have had other breeders in our network whose puppies have experienced serious side effects from the lepto vaccine and have actually died. So we would prefer that you don't give your puppy the leptospirosis vaccine. It is not mandatory. Vets are going to recommend it, but you do not have to say yes. It is up to you to advocate for your puppy and decide what is best for your puppy. I do add on the fact that if your vet happens to know of an outbreak in your area, for example, if a vet in North Van notices a lot of dogs have been coming in and ending up being diagnosed with leptospirosis and you live in North Van, you might want to consider giving the vaccine at that point. But at that point, your puppy is probably going to be a little bit older and hopefully more resilient and able to deal with that vaccine. In your booklet, you're also going to see something called Bordetella. When you go for your puppy's second set of vaccinations, your vet may ask you if you want to vaccinate your puppy for Bordetella. Another name for Bordetella is kennel cough. Kennel cough is a dog version of our common cold. It is a virus. It is very contagious. It spreads easily, but it basically will run its course in 10 to 14 days without any negative side effects to your puppy. It is literally just a cold. But for dogs, they basically have a nasty, hacky cough. They might be a little lethargic and under the weather, but basically in 10 to 14 days, they are going to get over the kennel cough, and there's no damage done. It's just like our common cold. If you happen to be considering boarding your dog at a commercial boarding facility, let's say you're going to go away for 3 weeks and you want to have your dog stay somewhere while you're gone, most commercial facilities will require that your dog have the Bordetella vaccine. And that is because they board dogs that are older, that might be sick and on medication, and those dogs are more susceptible to developing secondary infections from a kennel cough, like pneumonia, because they are already immune compromised, either by age or by another illness. But if you are living with your dog at home and you have friends and family looking after your dog while you're away, you really don't need to give them the Bordetella vaccine. The other vaccine that's in your book that your vet is likely going to ask you about is the Lyme vaccine. Lyme comes from ticks primarily. If you are a city dweller and you are mostly walking your dog and hanging out on paved trails, concrete sidewalks, local parks, any place that is not going to be overflowing with ticks, you really don't need to worry about giving your puppy the Lyme vaccine. But if you are a hiker and you're going to go into the bush and you know that there is the potential for picking up ticks in the bush, particularly if you head into the Okanagan where ticks seem to be more prevalent, you should consider giving your puppy the Lyme vaccine. Lyme is one of those ones that if they are bit by a tick and contract the Lyme disease, there is no cure. It basically causes a lifetime of health issues for your puppy, and there is no cure. But you can prevent Lyme by giving them the Lyme vaccine. So that is one to consider depending on your situation. And like I said, if you are primarily in the city, you really shouldn't need to worry about the Lyme vaccine. Beside the rabies vaccine on your booklet, you will see a 6M. That is 6 months. We recommend that you wait to give the puppy its rabies vaccine until it is 6 months old. There's a couple reasons for that. By giving the rabies vaccine on its own, if your puppy has any reaction to the rabies, you will know because it's the only vaccine that they got. If you give rabies in conjunction with the other vaccines that they get, say at their 3rd set of shots, and they react, you don't know what they're reacting to necessarily. It could be any of the shots that they got. And it's hard to know how to proceed with future vaccinations if you don't know if your puppy or what your puppy has reacted to. Lepto and rabies are 2 of the vaccinations that puppies commonly have reactions to. Rabies, it's not usually a severe reaction, and there may be no reaction at all. Usually if there is a reaction to rabies, it is swelling at the injection site, or the puppy might be moody or irritable or very subdued for a day or 2. But it's not usually life-threatening. But give the rabies on its own so that if there is a reaction, you'll know, and then you and your vet can discuss how to deal with the rabies vaccine moving forward. And by giving the rabies vaccine on its own, when puppies are closer to 6 months old, their immune system is better developed, it is stronger, and they will develop a stronger immune response to the rabies because it's the only vaccination they're getting. So that will give a better chance of it having long-term, almost lifetime protection against rabies than if you give it in conjunction with other vaccinations at the same time. So that is the information you're going to find in your health booklet. When you bring your puppy home, our health guarantee requires that you take your puppy to a vet within 3 working days to have it examined for a wellness check. And that is no vaccine, You are just taking your puppy to your vet to introduce it to your vet under pleasant circumstances where they're not getting poked and pricked and prodded, just getting a chance to experience the environment, hopefully get some positive loves and hugs and cuddles, and you know that your puppy has got a good, healthy start and that there's nothing for you to worry about. So on the front of your health booklet, there was a little sticker with a number, and there is also an envelope in your health booklet or going home bag that has information about the microchip in it. There's a registration form in there, but you don't need to fill it out. Let me just open this envelope for a second and show you. There is also information on the company, IDAP, that is responsible for maintaining the database for the microchips. And there is a little red tag in that envelope that you can put on your puppy's collar. This is called an external microchip notification. It has IDAP's website, IDAP's phone number, and it has a number on the tag. The number on the tag is not identical to the microchip, but it is connected to the microchip. So if your puppy happens to sneak out of the house and end up a couple doors down, someone can actually look at that tag, enter the IDAP website, or call them and give them the number on the tag, and it's the same as taking your puppy to a vet or shelter, having it scanned and coming up with all of your contact information. So your microchip is already registered. Your puppy was microchipped at the vet. The vet is given your contact information so that the puppy is microchipped with your contact information. It will take about 4 weeks for that information to get entered into the IDAP database. I recommend that you contact IDAP through the website, put in your puppy's microchip number in about 4 weeks' time, and see what information comes up. Make sure that your contact information has been entered correctly. Your puppies are also going to be registered according to their litter name. If you have given your puppy a new name, there's opportunity for you to change it so that the name associated with the microchip is correct. But that can all be done through the website and through IDAP, but you don't need to register your microchip again. We're going to talk a little bit about potty training your puppy. Your puppies are not potty trained. They have been started on potty training, and we start potty training our puppies when they are 3 weeks old. We set them up in a pen with their crate and a pee pad outside their crate so that they can learn to leave the bed, go to the bathroom, and go back to bed. As they get older and they start getting more active, we move their bathroom space farther away from their crate so that they start getting up, looking for the bathroom spot, and then starting to play or go back to bed. So your puppies are familiar with using a pee pad, but they are not like cats. When you litter box train a cat, you can pretty much put that litter box anywhere, and once you've shown it to the cat, most of the time they will find it and use it. Puppies are not the same. Puppies are situational learners. So if we have a puppy in a pen, for example, and we've had the crate in a spot and pee pads in a spot, and then we move the puppy to a new pen, they will have to relearn how to use those pee pads in their new space. It will only take them about a day, but they do need to relearn it because to them it's a new situation. Even if that new pen is set up the same way their old pen was, it's still new because it's in a new spot. So knowing that, when you get home, you need to understand that just because you put a couple pee pads in front of the door doesn't necessarily mean your puppy is going to use them. You need to give them a day, and you need to make sure that you are using the same words, that you are going out the same door, and that you are taking your puppies at the times when they are most likely going to need to go to the bathroom, and those are the times when you take them outside. So for example, when a puppy wakes up after a nap or first thing in the morning, you want to take them outside right away. Generally, when puppies wake up at this age, it's because they need to go to the bathroom, and they have a very small ability to have bladder control. So you don't have 10 minutes to get yourself dressed, to take them outside necessarily. You have maybe 5 minutes to get them outside to the bathroom. As soon as puppies wake up from a nap, they need to go outside. When they finish eating, you should take them outside right away and give them an opportunity to go to the bathroom again. When they eat, one of the reasons why we recommend your puppy eats 3 meals a day and that you don't leave food out for them to free feed all day is because when they eat a meal, they're going to fill up their tank, so to speak. And when their tank is full, when their stomach is full, it's going to put pressure on the bladder and bowel and cause them to want to go to the bathroom. So feeding 3 meals a day makes your puppy's bathroom needs more predictable. So you want to be able to give them those 3 meals and then take them outside within 10-15 minutes after they have finished eating to give them the opportunity to go to the bathroom. Puppies are like people. Some have better bladder control than others. Sometimes you may need to take the puppy outside right after it eats, and sometimes it can wait a half an hour, 45 minutes before you have to take it outside. Those are the kinds of things that you will have to figure out about your puppy once you get your puppy home. But you want to make sure that you take puppy outside after it wakes up from a nap, as soon as it finishes eating. And if your puppy is awake and playing for 45 minutes to an hour, then give it another opportunity to go outside. Now, if you live in a house or a townhouse where you actually have a yard, then skip the pee pads altogether and just take your puppy outside. It will learn the outside more quickly than if you are using pee pads inside. But if you are in an apartment and you are using pee pads inside because maybe you're on the 30th floor and it's really hard to get puppy out that many times, in that case I recommend setting up a separate bathroom station inside and teaching your puppy to use that bathroom station, but also taking it outside for walks and opportunities to learn to go to the bathroom outside. As it gets a little bit older and the bladder control gets better, then take it outside more often and use the inside bathroom station less often. So for example, puppies when they first get home probably aren't going to sleep through the night. You can expect to get up at least once in the middle of the night to let your puppy go to the bathroom. So if you are in a condo, this might be a time where you want to take your puppy to that bathroom station inside. It might be on a balcony, it might be in a corner of a bathroom. Take it there, give it an opportunity to go to the bathroom. If it goes, lots of praise, and then back to bed. If you're in a house or a townhouse, you can take your puppy straight outside, let it go to the bathroom, put it back in its crate or back in its pen for bed. So with nighttime bathroom training, there's no right and wrong. There's 2 different ways that you can tackle it, but one isn't necessarily better than the other. It's really just what works for you. So one way is you put your puppy in its crate, you put the crate beside your bed, and if your puppy wakes up or starts fussing in the middle of the night, you wake up, you take it outside, give it a chance to go to the bathroom, and then put it back in its crate and go to bed. The other way is you can put your puppy, get it set up in either a pen, an exercise pen, which you can buy online or through Marketplace, or you can set it up in a bathroom or laundry room. And you can put the crate at one end of the bathroom, put your pee pad at the opposite end, away from the crate. Put your puppy in that space in your bathroom for night, turn off the lights, close the door, walk away. Puppy will go to bed, and if it wakes up and needs to go to the bathroom, it will wake up, it'll go to the bathroom, it'll go back to bed. You don't need to be involved at all. Either way, no matter which way you use, you are going to find that your puppy is probably going to fuss for the first 2 or 3 nights that it's at home. And that's perfectly normal. It has not slept on its own before leaving here. When it was here with us, it always slept with littermates. So the transition from sleeping with littermates to sleeping on its own is going to take a few nights. And that's okay. That's totally normal. So if you set it up in the crate for night, then take it outside, and puppy will gradually sleep longer and longer periods of time at night until it is sleeping a 7 or 8 hour stretch. A reasonable amount of time for it to sleep when it first comes home is probably in that 4 or 5 hour range. The last out should be around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Take your puppy outside, let it go to the bathroom, lots of praise when it does, and then put it to bed in its crate or in its pen. When it wakes up, take it outside again, put it back to bed. And it'll probably get up, if you take a puppy out at 10:30, it'll probably get up somewhere around 2:30, 3:30, 4 o'clock. If you're lucky, your puppy might sleep through till 5:30, 6 o'clock. But if it does, that is going to be the start of your day. Your puppy is not going to go back to sleep for another couple hours if it gets up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. So just be aware that you will need to likely get up at least once in the middle of the night with your puppy. It usually takes a week or two for puppy to get to the point where it's sleeping through the night. Make sure you're taking away food and taking away water, like what is indicated on the schedule that you were emailed. That will help the puppy to sleep through the night more quickly. If you are putting the puppy in a bathroom or laundry room for night or a pen, when you get up, first thing you want to do before you do anything else is to go tiptoe and check on your puppy. Because if you check on your puppy and there's no bathroom messes, then it means that they have slept through the night. Then you need to hurry up and get them outside or get them to their designated bathroom spot. If you wake up and they have already gone to the bathroom, then you know that they've been up at least once in the middle of the night. And then you can go and get yourself ready and then take them outside again at that point. But if you get up and check and there is no mess, and you do that for 3 nights in a row, and there's been no mess for 3 nights in a row, then your puppy is sleeping through the night, and at that point I recommend putting the puppy in its crate for night, closing the door. You don't need to put it in the bathroom anymore because it is now starting to sleep through the night, and it should be able to make it through the night in its crate. So when you are in the house, the door that you're going in and out of to take your puppy to the bathroom, make sure it's the same door. Use the same words all the time when you're taking puppy outside. Here, when we let puppies out of their pen and head them to go outside or out through the dog door, we go outside, outside, outside. Do you want to go outside? Let's go outside. So outside is a key word for them. That is a word that they often will recognize very well by the time they go home. If we say outside, outside, let's go outside, and they're playing, they will stop playing and they will run out the dog door and go outside. And hopefully go to the bathroom because that's what they've been associating with that word. So same door, same word. If you have a carpet or rug in front of the door that you're going in and out of, you might want to consider putting a pee pad or two on top of that carpet, or taking the carpet away and just putting a pee pad down on the floor. What that's going to do is at some point, it may only take a couple days, it may take a little bit longer, you may find that your puppy starts recognizing that that is the magic door that goes outside, and when it needs to go to the bathroom, it starts to go to the door. But if you don't recognize the signals or you aren't paying attention, you might miss your puppy's signals, and then they might go to the door and they might pee on the floor in front of the door. If you have a pee pad there, you'll see it more easily, and then you'll go, oh, okay, puppy needed to go to the bathroom and I missed it. But because they actually went to the door and used the pee pad, it's telling you that they understand the concept. You just need to understand your signals or their signals. I'm going to talk a little bit about your puppy's safety and socialization. When your puppy has gone home, it will have had 1 set of vaccinations. Those vaccinations are going to take about 2 weeks before they will give puppy any kind of protection from the things they were vaccinated for. So puppies, it's not safe to take puppies anywhere and everywhere when they first come home. You should try to keep your puppies closer to home, in the backyard, in your front yard, on the street in front of your house. Avoid high-risk areas that could contain viruses or bacteria that could make your puppy sick. Things like dog parks, walking into the pet store. Now, pet stores are a great place for your puppy to socialize because usually people who go to pet stores like pets. They love to see new puppies or kittens. They like to say hello and give cuddles, and it's a great way for your puppy to be exposed to new people, places, and things. But pretty much everything that can make your puppy sick is usually in feces and urine, which is generally on the ground. So even when I take my own dogs to PetSmart, for example, I always keep a blanket or towel in the car. And when I get to PetSmart, I get a cart. I put the blanket in the cart. I put the dogs in the cart on top of the blanket. And we go in and we do our shopping. My dogs are around our puppies all the time. And I want to make sure that when we take them out and go places, that they're not bringing anything back that could make our puppies sick. So even though they're adults and even though they're fully vaccinated, I still put them in the cart and take them shopping in the cart. That way they're off the ground where the risk of them picking up a virus or bacteria is more likely to be, less likely to be in the cart on the blanket that's come from home. So you need to take your puppy out and expose it to lots of different sights and sounds and smells and people and environment. But you need to find ways to do that minimizes the risk for your puppy. So an example might be that you don't go to a dog park, but you might walk your puppy on the street or within a block or two radius of your house. If you know that there's a lot of other dogs in the neighborhood, but you know that those dogs have been vaccinated and are up to date on shots, and they're good with puppies, then the risk is probably low for your puppy to pick up something in your own neighborhood. They also, by walking in your own neighborhood and area, they develop something called street immunity. So they develop an immunity to the bacteria and viruses that are common in your area that might not be in a different area. For example, you don't want to take your puppy to a dog park because dogs go to dog parks to go to the bathroom, to run around and play and interact, and you have no idea if any of those dogs are sick, have been sick, or have anything that will make your puppy sick. So that is a high risk area that you want to completely avoid until your puppy has had all 3 sets of vaccinations and at least 2 weeks has passed after the 3rd and final vaccination. Until then, you don't want to go to a dog park. Stick closer to home, but do make sure you take your puppy out and about. Even taking your puppy out and carrying it places where it might be a higher risk still gives your puppy the opportunity to get exposure to new sights, sounds, smells, environments, but the risk is low because they are off the ground. As soon as your puppy has had its 2nd set of vaccinations and 2 weeks has passed, then you can start going more places with your puppy because it has a higher level of protection. And then once they have their 3rd set of vaccinations, they can go even farther. When you're out and about with your puppy, puppies have not been leash trained. They are only given opportunities to run around and play in a field, and there is no leash attached. But puppies, when you first bring them home, they have a very strong follow instinct. So if you use your voice and call your puppy, once the leash has been clipped to its collar, the puppy is probably going to follow you, and the leash will be loose and the puppy will be walking right behind you, usually right in the blind spot where if you look over either shoulder, you're not going to see the puppy because it's literally following you right in the blind spot behind you. So use your voice, coax your puppy along. If you feel the leash tighten because puppy has seen something that freaks it out, or that it's nervous about, it stops. It's like, oh, what is that? Fire hydrant? That's scary. Then you can just stop, take a step back, loosen the leash, use your voice to coax your puppy along again, and then continue to walk. If you go for a 30-minute walk every day, your puppy is probably not going to walk all 30 minutes. It might walk 5 and then decide it's had enough. But I would encourage you to walk the 30. Walk as much as the puppy will walk, then pick it up and carry it for 5 minutes, and then put it down and let it walk some more. And then when it decides it's done, pick it up and carry it, and then put it down and let it walk some more. You will find that if you repeat that every day, your puppy is going to walk more and more of that 30-minute walk until it is eventually walking all 30 minutes on its own. When you first get puppies home and you're taking them outside to start doing the leash training, you're going to find that they're really not going to want to do much. Our environment here is very quiet. There's not a lot of traffic noise. There's not a lot of noise outside of nature sounds because we're out in a very rural setting. So you may find that the first couple days you take your puppy outside on a leash, it might just sit. It might not walk at all. It might just sit and take in all the sights and sounds and smells, and even your encouragement might not want to make it move very far. If you have another dog, taking your puppy for a walk with your other dog will encourage your puppy to walk, because it's going to want to follow the existing dog in your household. But if you have only the puppy that you brought home, you just need to be patient, give it time, encourage it to go a little farther each day, use your voice, keep the leash loose, and you will find that after a few days or weeks that your puppy is going to be walking farther and farther. It will walk on a leash that's loose, and it's not going to be dragging you down the street. If you wait until the puppy has completed all 3 sets of shots to start leash training, you're going to have a puppy that takes you for a walk, and it's going to be much harder to train them to walk nicely beside you on a leash. While we're on the topic of leashes and walking, people often ask, is it better to have a collar or a harness on a puppy? It is really personal preference. I prefer to walk our dogs on a collar rather than a harness. I find harnesses a pain, frankly, to put on and take off every time we go for a walk. I have seen dogs that absolutely hate the harness, so as soon as it comes out, they run and hide. They don't want anything to do with it. But if they have a collar that they're wearing all the time around the house, then taking them to the door, making them sit, clipping on the leash, they are much happier to do that than to wait for a harness. I also find that sometimes people use the harness as a bit of a crutch. They will start their puppy on a flat collar, they take them for walks, the puppy starts to pull. Because the puppy is pulling, it's choking itself, owners feel bad, so they get a harness. Puppy is still pulling, it still doesn't have good leash manners, but they put it in a harness, and at least now the puppy isn't choking itself. I would encourage you to teach your puppy good walking manners and to walk it on that flat collar rather than using a harness. But if a harness is what you prefer, again, it's not a right and a wrong, it's really just what you prefer. But the key is, don't use the harness as a crutch to avoid teaching your puppy to walk properly on a leash. And that also leads me to the topic of flexi leashes, the retractable leashes. Use a flat 6-foot nylon leash for your puppy for training. The flexi leashes actually teach your dog to walk with tension on the leash, and usually that is ahead of you and not beside you or behind you where they should be walking properly. Yes, it does have the advantage of giving puppies more free rein, but it's also a bit of a hazard. If you're walking in busy areas, people can get tangled up in the retractable leash. If you have bikers sharing the same path and your puppy is way off to the left, the bikers can run over, get tangled in the leash, drag your dog around. It's really better just to keep a flat 6-foot nylon leash for walking your puppy until your puppy has really good manners and knows where it needs to be. Retractable leashes are better for less busy areas, or if you're going to go for a hike and you want to keep your dog on a leash, a retractable leash gives your puppy more room and freedom to move, but it's still teaching your puppy to walk on a tight leash, not a loose leash. So I'm really not a big fan of the retractable leashes. The last thing we're going to talk about is grooming. When your puppy goes home, he is going to be freshly bathed, and he will have a tidy up groom that is seasonally appropriate. So in the winter, for example, we might leave the coats on the body a little bit longer because it's colder. But you will need to have a comb, and this is a very small comb. You don't need to have one quite this small. Often they'll come about 6 inches long. Sometimes they come with a handle and the comb on it. But you are going to want to get into a routine of combing your puppy on a daily basis when he comes home. You're going to be doing this as a means of bonding with your puppy and a means of making sure that your puppy is comfortable being combed so he doesn't get matted, and so that your groomer is happy and able to actually groom your dog because they are comfortable with being handled and being combed. The actual best time to comb your puppy is in the evening. Generally their day is done when they're about when it's about 8 o'clock in the evening. When they're tired of playing and they're ready for a nap, you're going to put puppy on its back in your lap. It's okay. You're going to rub that puppy's belly until they settle. And when they settle and they're relaxed, you're going to take your comb, you're going to take one leg at a time, and you're going to comb against the grain all the way around all 4 legs. The reason you're combing against the grain is because a lot of our puppies have quite fluffy coat, and if you comb only in the direction that the hair grows, you're going to find that there are little mats and tangles underneath, right next to the skin, where the comb might not reach. Because on some of our puppies, when they're very fluffy when they go home, their coat actually gets thicker as they get older, and combing in the direction the hair grows. I know, I woke you up from a nap, I know. If you comb only in the direction the hair grows, then the comb isn't necessarily going to get all the way through to the skin, and you will leave little mats and tangles right next to the skin. So the legs you are going to do against the grain, and the rest of the body you are going to do in the direction that the hair grows. And you can do this when he's on his back as well. He's not quite willing to settle right now because I just woke him up from a nap and he probably thinks he wants to play. But you're just going to comb. And literally it's going to take you probably about a minute or so. Don't forget the tail. Don't forget the beard and the eyebrows. And that's it. And if you do that every day when you bring your puppy home in the evening, it's great bonding time. Puppy is going to be well used to having his fur combed out, and you're going to keep him nice and mat free. The other tool that you can use besides a comb is a slicker brush. This one obviously needed to be cleaned out, but the slicker brush you would only use on the furnishings, and the furnishings are all the longer parts of your dog's fur. Slicker brushes are really good for getting some of those small mats out, and again you can use them with the grain or against the grain. You don't need to use them as often as you need the comb. Combs should be done every day. Slicker brush can be done 2 or 3 times a week or as needed. They work well for getting little mats out of puppy's coat. And when your puppy comes home, like I said, it will have already been groomed. You will want to make sure that you find a groomer and book an appointment for your puppy to get groomed 6 to 8 weeks after you bring him home. It is really good to get your puppy to a groomer for regular grooming appointments starting 6 to 8 weeks after they come home, so that puppy gets used to it and doesn't lose all of the training that we've already done, because by the time they go home they usually have had 2 groomings and multiple baths and they are used to it. So don't wait until your puppy is fluffy and needs to be groomed. Most groomers now have about a 6-week wait, so if you don't make an appointment right away, you might not be able to get one if you wait until your puppy needs it. So that covers all of the basic information that we're going to go through as part of our puppy debrief. If you have any questions as a result of this information, make a note of them, and when you come to pick up your puppy, let me know and I will be happy to answer them for you.